tossers have thrown it out the door with their behaviour this week. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should absolutely look at themselves in the mirror and wonder what the have they been doing. They're hissing at us and calling us cheats in the Lord's long room, and they have the gall to talk to us about the spirit of cricket. Absolute bullshit.
There's a big appeal, it's hit him on the pad, he's out! Lions gone, New South Wales are 9 down, onto Sydney Road, and it's hit a car! Oh, I think it's hit a car! What a way to bring up your 50!
All you want is to leave it all behind. Now there is a simple remedy to stay fit for all eternity.
Oh, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Cricket Unfiltered podcast. We are here to wrap up day one of the Gabba test, the day-night test, and joining me is one of the founding members of the Cricket Unfiltered podcast when it was called the Australian Cricket Podcast, Ed. Ed, thanks for joining me. How are you?
Good, mate. Good to be back. It's been an interesting day.
Has been an interesting day. So England won the toss and they finished the day 9 for 325. The notable performances: Joe Root breaking his hoodoo. He remained 135 not out. Mitchell Starc, the hero again with the ball for Australia, 6 for 71. It was another terrific seesawing day of action. Just as England were pulling ahead, Australia would claw back with a wicket or a brilliant bit of fielding. But then we saw a staggering last wicket partnership in the last half an hour of the day. So it was a very much a seesawing day's play. And Ed, you have to say, maybe the first day sort of vaguely normal cricket we've seen so far in this series. There was some there was some traditional batting at times. There were some normal spells of cricket, and although the game was sort of in fast forward, it felt much more like a normal day's cricket.
Yeah, it felt like the batsmen that did well today had a plan.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into all the action from today. So, I mean, so much drama around the team selection for Australia. England named their side days ago, but Australia had been sort of playing very coy about their team. Well, early on, reports started filtering out that Michael Neser was measuring out his run-up, and then it was confirmed at the toss that Michael Neser replaced Nathan Lyon. And Travis Head also confirmed he will open the batting, and Josh Inglis will bat in the middle order. He's listed to come in at 7. So let's start with Cummins. George Bailey spoke to the media and said that basically Cummins, they just didn't want to risk him. He was close to playing, but they just felt it was better to just wait until the Adelaide test rather than pushing him. And they said it was a one-off call to drop Lyon, but they said that 2 tests ago when they dropped him, and that Bailey categorically said Nathan Lyon will be back for the Adelaide test. But, we saw today that this is a dry pitch, Ed, and there were times when perhaps a spinner would have been useful to chase of the game. So I'm still yet to be convinced it was the right decision to leave out Lyon. Where do you sit?
I'm a little perplexed. I think we had very little variety in the bowling, and that showed. Starc was far and away better than everyone else. Well, the bowling bowled all right. But if you thought a month ago we'd go into the second test at the Gabba, day-night, with only Starc, no Cummins, no Hazelwood, no Lyon, you'd think you were mad, especially if you thought we'd not select one of those. So, exactly. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I think there was just a lot of too much same bowling out there.
Absolutely. So it's the first time Nathan Lyon has been left out of an Australian team in Australia since January 2012. So, I mean, that's a long time ago. I was told a rumor this week that Nathan Lyon had a cracked rib from when he was hit in the Perth test. That is completely unsubstantiated, but maybe he's carrying a bit of an injury, although that's probably not the reason he was left out. But it was a close run thing. It's very rare you get to the toss where you don't know if Cummins or Smith's going to be coming out. So, it was quite exciting. But, I think this is a significant moment for Lyon because like looking at that pitch, although there wasn't a lot of grass, there was, I think, 3 mils of grass. Normally there's, 6 to 8 mils of grass on a pink ball test match in Adelaide. So, you could see today the pitch looks dry. It looks good for batting. And perhaps, especially in England's second innings, we might need a spinner. So, yeah, huge risk. And the reports were, and Bailey said it, Lyon was not happy with this decision. And I can see why.
And I think too, the ball gets pretty soft pretty quickly, and a lot of people have said that the seam is very hard to pick up on a pink ball. So batting against spin, being able to see the seam can be difficult. I thought it was an unnecessary risk. I think that if Cummins was fit, okay, maybe Cummins comes in for Lyon, but I think Nisa for Lyon it doesn't make us better. So, but and maybe if that last partnership hadn't got away, maybe it might have been the right selection, but I don't know. I think it was overly risky. I think we got sucked in to be a little bit too aggressive, to be honest.
Yeah, and so it's a strange selection, but I guess we'll just see how this test pans out. If Australia wins, well, then the selectors got it right. If they didn't, they probably got it wrong. George Bailey also was asked whether they had made a decision whether Khawaja was going to play this test match, regardless of his fitness, and he dodged the bullet by said they hadn't made a definitive call either way, which would suggest to me that they were going to drop him for this test match anyway. So that was the team. So, big surprise. Michael Nisa called in for his third test match, of course, at his home ground. And he did actually bowl very well. He was very competent. He managed to keep the runs down. And, at stages, Scotty Boland took a bit of tap. So it was lucky Nisa could just rein things in. But again, strange selection for Nathan Lyon to miss out. So before the game started, there was a minute silence for Robin Smith, and then both teams wore black armbands in memory of the late Robin Smith. So then the game starts, and positive start for England. Crawley gets the mark, beautiful drive through the covers, then little single gets down the other end. He's 5 not out. England are none for 5 after 5 balls. You're thinking, this isn't so hard after all.
And it looked great. 5 balls in.
Exactly. Last ball of the first over, Mitchell Starc nicks off Ben Duckett. Beautiful ball, swinging away from the left-hander. Edge to Marnus, who's now the new first slipper, now that Khawaja is gone. And that was Stark's 26th wicket in the first over of the test inning. So just incredible. Probably a loose shot from Duckett, but it was a decent ball. You got to play it, that one. So a bit unlucky for him.
First ball, not much you can do.
Yeah. And then Pope, not long after in Stark's second over, just out for a 3-ball duck, just playing at a good length ball, played it back onto his stumps, and all of a sudden Stark has 2 wickets in 4 balls, and that brought him level with Wasim Akram. And look, when you look, England at this point were 2 for 5, and when you consider from there they got to 9 for 325, it is actually quite a comeback from there. But then there was a few moments where Australia just let England off the hook. So Pope was out. Then in the 4th over, Nisa got an edge off Crawley, a fine edge, but someone heard it because they went up about it, but they were saying, was it pad? And then you looked on DRS and there was a little spike when it went past the back. So that was Crawley before it got going. And, he went on to make 76 and, could have made us, we could have had him out, very early. So, a little chance went begging there. And then Root edged one off Stark, just short of Marnus at first slip. And, Smith dived across to try and take it and couldn't do it. But, Ed, you got to say from there, Root and Crawley played very well.
Very well. I think, again, those two had a plan. Crawley, I'm just going to take those singles all day, and he wasn't really flashing his hands outside the off, and he was much more measured, much more calm. They were rotating the strike, and I thought Root, same, had a plan, especially at Boland, came down the wicket, got hit on the pads a couple of times, he wasted a few reviews. And I thought those two were really calm and composed, but again, because they had a plan. I thought they executed the plan. They came in and they were much more sure of themselves and a little bit more conservative. But we gave them singles. I think there was a little bit of defensive field, and they thought, I'll just take that all day. So, yeah, those two really steadied the ship, which was amazing because Root came in on ball 16.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, you're right about Root. He was, very watchful with those balls on the up outside off stump. Crawley, it's a good pitch for him. He likes the ball coming onto the bat. It is a good batting wicket, and we'll when we get to this wrap up the end of play, we'll sort of consider whether 325 is a good score. But it looks like a very good batting wicket. So Crawley, cashed in, and they got to lunch, and it was 2 for 98. Crawley was 61 not out. Root was 32 not out. And, after being 2 for 5, they played a normal session of Test cricket. And after lunch, though, again, you talk about the batters being sensible. So many of them, when they got going, just as England were clawing away, they would play a dumb shot and get themselves out. Michael Neser, finally got Crawley out just after lunch. And it was so typical. 3-dot balls. There were 3-dot balls off Michael Neser. And Root and Crawley even had a chat. Maybe Root was saying to Zach, look, don't lose your head here. There's plenty of time. But Zach did lose his head because he swung across the line at a ball that was short of the length, got a faint under edge, caught behind. Crawley was out for 76. That made England at 3 for 122, ended a 122-run partnership. And again, then Root and Crawley had us at the mercy. Afternoon session, still sun out, ball coming onto the bat, and Crawley opened the door. Then Root came out, and he got off to his usual quick start, and Australia sort of spread the field. Yeah, Harry Brook. And
Brook,
they started bowling short, and Australia spread the field. But he and Root put on 50 in 61 balls. And again, looked like the game was being taken away. There was a couple of half chances, stumping review off, I think, Brook, and, a couple of close chances. But then
he was trying to ramp it. He was 16.
Yes.
He was trying to ramp it.
I know. And what was it? He went out of the crease and Carey took the bails off Neser.
Good keeping. Carey had a great day.
Oh, he did had a great day. I mean, the keepers had a great day. Josh Inglis we'll get to in a moment. So this is how dumb Brook is, all right? So for some reason, Stark had been held back in the afternoon session, and I think they wanted Stark to have a lot of overs left with the ball when the lights are on. So they were bowling the other ones so he could bowl in the second half of that session. So Stark comes back. Second ball, he just to Brook in this spell, he just floats the ball up outside off stump, just there for the drive. Brook goes, okay, I'm going to take the bait, edges it straight to Smith at second slip, and he's out for 31 off 33. And 31 off 33 ain't going to win you test matches. And it was just such a dumb dismissal.
Stupid.
Exactly. Again,
what I don't get about Harry Brook, if I'm his coaching, his batting coach, I tell him, mate, they're giving you singles all day. You could score 100 off 100 by taking a single in the deep off every ball, but he still just thrashes at everything. It's chaotic. It's actually just dumb.
Absolutely. And again, he had the conditions at his mercy and he gave his wicket away. And that was Stark's 415th test wicket. So he went past Wasim Akram. So he has the most number of wickets ever by a left-arm fast bowler. It's an incredible record for Stark. He's like a fine wine. He's got better with age. I mean, his performances in the last 3 or 4 test matches have just been jaw-dropping. And it's just an incredible career. And to think he's now taken the most number of wickets ever for a left-arm quick, that's phenomenal. I had a chat with Tim Wigmore recently when he was on the show about whether Stark was better than Akram or not. And I think at Akram's best, he was probably slightly better. But I think day in and day out, I would bank on Stark more for sort of consistent performances. Like Stark's got his wickets at a better strike rate, but has leaked a few more runs. So where do you stand on Akram v Stark as someone, saw a lot of Wasim?
I'll ask this question. Do you reckon Stark could have more wickets if you could use a bottle top and those sort of stuff? Because back in the day, you could get away with a lot of that stuff, which you just cannot get away with now. But I'll say that in jest. But Akram was incredible. Look, I think then you got to wonder about the pitches maybe going too much. But either way, even just putting him in the same sentence is unbelievable. Like he was just a revelation. They both are.
So at this stage, England were 4 for 176. Stark had 3 for 27, and it started to get dark, and then we saw some real proper cricket. Stokes and Root dug in, and they got to tea, and it was 4 for 196. And actually, so they'd scored 98 runs in that session, same as the first. Root was 68 not out. Stokes was 14, and things started to really slow down. There was a couple of reviews off Boland, off Root that were actually not even umpires called. They were missing the stump, so Australia had lost a couple of reviews. Bad day for Smith with the reviews, not referring the Crawley one, referring a couple of bad LBWs. Carey kept saying, I can't hear anything. I can't hear anything. Smith, don't listen to Carey. I mean, he did amazing today, but I don't think him hearing the Knicks is his strong point. But then probably for me, the moment of the day, this is where I think the game has shifted to a point where England aren't dominating. They're in a good position now, but England had a chance to be 4 for 300 at stumps with Stokes and Root, the way they were batting. But so Stokes just plays one into the offside off Brendan Doggett, starts to go for single. It's not there. Root sends him back. Josh Inglis, the wicket keeper, who is all of a sudden prowling in cover, moves to his right, picks it up in his right hand, throws side on at the stumps, hits the stumps. Hits one stump, the keeper, and Stokes was out for 19. It was a fantastic bit of fielding. Echoes of when Nathan Lyon did that to James Vince at the Gabba back in 2017-18. But, that had England 5 for 210, broke that little partnership that Stokes and Root were building. Australia was starting to get frustrated. And, there were some comments online that Inglis running out Stokes was the first wicket by an Englishman in the series so far, because the whole England attack from overseas that took wickets in the first test, and Josh Inglis born in Leeds. But I mean, Ed, that was phenomenal fielding.
Yeah, it was, and it was a real momentum shift, as you said. Like, I thought, again, similar to when Crawley and Root were playing, Stokes and Root, they were in control. They had a plan. They were playing very measured. And I think what Australia did pretty well was they dried up the runs. So at the time, the run rate for that session was under 2. And I think that sort of got Stokes a little bit jumpy, and he probably trying to rotate the strike when he didn't need to. And Inglis nailed this moment. And it was a real momentum shift.
So then Jamie Smith came out, and Scott Boland bowled a beautiful in-swinger, bowled in middle stump. So Jamie Smith was out for a second ball duck. England 6 for 211. And this is where them getting to 325 is a little awkward for the main attack, because they really should have kept them under 300 when they got these 2 wickets. But an hour into the session almost, England had lost 2 wickets and only scored 15 runs in that session. So I don't know where Bazball went, Ed. Like, I don't know. Did they forget about it for an hour?
We may have only bowled 3 overs. The over rate was incredibly slow. But I think again that was just applying a bit of pressure and bowling. I think we didn't bowl well in the first 2 sessions. We're too straight, too full. And then there was a little bit of life straight after that last tea break, dinner break, whatever they want to call it. But we applied some pressure. Had a good fielding. I think we had a good field setting as well. We were really, the squeeze was on, as they like to say. And Bazball,
I just think we lost our patience a bit as the day went on. At one point we tried to bowl short balls to Jackson Root, and that didn't work because the ball was too soft. And at the end, we spread the field ridiculously in that last half an hour. Will Jacks again, he's another victim of being a fucking idiot. He got to 19 off 31, again, batting well, and then another Stark serves him up another wide half volley, and he just hits it straight to Steve Smith at slips. So that's Stark's 4th wicket. That has England 7 for 251. But then Joe Root, he finally broke his duck. He brought up his 40th test ton, his first in Australia. He's now 4th on the number of test tons. He's got Ricky Ponting ahead of him on 41, Callis on 45, Sashin on 51. It came off 181 balls. It took him 30 innings to bring up his first century in Australia, but it was only a matter of time. Thank God we don't have to see Matt Hayden run around the MCG naked at some point during the summer. But really good innings from Rudy. Took his time. It was a proper test innings. He showed the way for his teammates. He anchored the innings. And if you're going to play like pork chops like, Brooke and Will Jacks. You do need someone to
Jacks
anchor the
and
innings.
Pope.
And and so he did that. So, I'm happy for Joe Root. I would have been just as happy if he didn't score a century this summer. But, the second leading run scorer in Test cricket, and probably deserves 100 on his CV.
Yeah, I think it was. Look, he played exceptionally well today, and going back to the difference between him having a plan and Harry Brook just throwing his hands at everything. Joe Root played his first reverse. I think he was 130, and it was the third last over of the day. Brook did it when he was 11 or something. So played sensibly, and England need him to play sensibly for them to get a total. Because if you look through their batting lineup, they either got themselves out, got a Jaffa, or had a plan and got runs.
Exactly. So Root,
congratulations
that
to
innings.
Root. Great 100.
And then Gus Atkinson, well, this may have been the fielding of the day. You think about that English run out, but Atkinson was on 4. And this is what I don't understand. Root's playing well. Why didn't any of these idiots think, I'm just going to stick with Joe Root here and let him have a day out? Then, that's what a good tail ender does. But Gus Atkinson... Yes, well, but he was slogging hard. But anyway, Atkinson swung across the line off Stark. The ball went up behind the wicket keeper about 3/4 of the way to the boundary. Alex Carey and Marnus Labuschagne are both making a beeline to try and catch the ball. They obviously, neither of them either made a call or saw the other one. So they both went for the ball at the same time, but Carey got it. They both ended up on the ground, Carey with the ball, Marnus hugging Carey because he was so happy that the catch had been taken. And that was an absolute jaffer of a catch. It was very dramatic. They had to check the replays that the ball had hit the spider cam wire, because if it had been, it would have been a dead ball. So that's a lucky, because that would have been a shame. Because I don't know, that's an incredible catch. I mean, for Carey to actually get to the ball and then hold on to it, and with Marnus trying to tackle him at the same time, phenomenal.
He turns, rips his cap off, runs down with his pads on. He used to play AFL, didn't he, Carey? So it was a good grab with Marnus under pressure. So that's what it felt like, a really good grab.
Absolutely. So that made the score 8 for 264. Stark 5 for 46, his 18th 5-wicket haul in Test cricket. Then Cast was out for a 2-ball duck. Score still 264. Carey diving to his right to take a catch. That was Stark's 6th wicket of the innings, his 16th of the series. Again, just an incredible performance from Mitchell Stark. He's carried the attack. He's taken wickets when Australia have needed it. And, you wonder what we would have been like without his performances so far. And he's, tracking to have a phenomenal series. I mean, he tends to slow down a bit at the end of the series. So it actually would work out for Australia that Cummins and Hazelwood might come back if Stark starts to come off the boil a little bit. But then it got really ragged. Go on.
What I found interesting quickly about Stark is, he almost bowled 20 overs today, but in some interviews prior to the series, he kept joking that Cummins always gets the tail enders, and Cummins has a good average because of the tail enders, and so Stark's actually enjoying wrapping up the tail enders. But
exactly. But then Stark always jokes that Cummins brings himself on.
Yeah, but I think and then coming back to that last wicket stand, a lot of the commentators were saying that Stokes should have declared.
Well, so the score was 9 for 264. Archer comes out. There's about just over half an hour of the day left, 35 minutes.
Yeah, 35 minutes.
Maybe even 40 minutes. And so Australia starts to think, Steve Smith starts to think, we don't want to take this last wicket too quickly, because then we actually batting for like half an hour under lights. We could be 3 for 30 at stumps, and then it's England's day. So he started playing silly buggers. People would get the helmet on, they'd put the helmet away, he'd run up and talk to the bowler, he'd come back to talk to the bowler. And then at one stage, Ben Stokes was stood up, and Jamie Smith, the England wicketkeeper, had his full kit on. So either they were obviously thinking the last wicket might fall, but I think Stokes was going to declare. It just seemed no one was considering the fact that there was still a game where a bowler's trying to get a batter out. And Smith spread the field, and then at one point,
were we trying to get a batter out?
I don't think we were. And then at one point, especially, there was one Boland over where Archer just thinks, all right, I'm sick of this, I'm going to take him on, and he smashed Boland for 19 off the over, and eventually Archer and Root finished not out. They put on 61 or 44 deliveries in that last 40 minutes. And when Australia looked like they were going to keep England under 300, they're 9 for 325. And I just found the planning in that last session puzzling. I just play normal cricket. I mean, good length balls, 2 slips, ring field. Why was all of a sudden that thrown out the window?
Well, I think for me, there's 2 main things here. One is if you stop playing positive cricket, or you start playing negative cricket, it can turn in an instant. Turn in that over, 19 from it, and then probably 11 off another over as well. So like turn in an instant because they suddenly backed off. They thought actually we're not going to play positive cricket here. We're just going to try to hold the line. And then I don't know. In the commentary, everybody's saying, "Oh, there's an opening bat. You don't want to bat. You don't want to bat. You don't want to go for these lines. Shouldn't you want to bat every time for Australia?"
Well,
I want to get out there and bat.
Well, no, I can get it. Like that's an awkward period, but I just think you don't want to get too clever because they took their eye off the ball. They started time wasting, and they forgot actually got to get Archer out at some stage. You've got to get Root out at some stage. And there was a couple of half chances that didn't happen, and they rode their luck. And all of a sudden, they leaked a lot of runs. There was footage of Andrew McDonald by the field. He was looking very upset with the way they'd let England get away with it. And so they finished 9 for 325 at the stumps. Archer is 32 not out, his highest test score. Root 135 not out, and Australia will have to go out there and get that last wicket in the morning. Incredibly slow over rate. Australia got through 74 overs. I think they were given a bit of credit in time, but they're still 8 overs behind. You know what I've noticed now, Ed? Drinks breaks take 10, 15 minutes. I mean, sorry, I'm exaggerating. Say 10 minutes. It feels like a drinks break now takes 10 minutes. And just you're losing.
Because they do interviews, 2 overs there. Go to the ads. Remember when they used to just drive out the Gatorade cart? They
have a quick drink,
and off they go as quick as
quick drinking, a bit of cordial, and you're back out there. So, so for the Australian bowlers, the
last partnership was kind of perplexing from Australia. They played negatively, and it might come back to bite them because you've got to always take a look at them.
I think
if you're an opening bat, that's your job. If you've got definitely. If you're an opening bat, that's your job. You've got to go out and face the last couple of overs, right? Like you can't skirt that. And if I'm Mitchell Starc, I'm pissed off that I've got to get up and have a bowl tomorrow.
Exactly. So, it was a strange little period from Australia. So Mitchell Starc 6 for 71 at the end of the day. Michael Neser 14 overs, 1 for 43. I thought actually he bowled really well and was able to slow the run rate down at particular times. Scott Boland 1 for 87, went for 4.5 runs and over. When they go after him, he can leak a few runs, but we saw in the second innings in Perth, he can still rock and roll their top order. Brendan Doggett, none for 76, went at 5.5 runs and over. And, probably his toughest day of Test cricket. Definitely his toughest day of Test cricket so far. And, he didn't look great today, especially he was given some grunt work to, try and bowl short with that soft pink ball. So I don't think that's particularly good use of his skills. Cameron Green, 8 overs, none for 43. He went at 5.5.
I think he was underbowled.
Green was?
He was bowling. Yeah, I think Green was underbowled. He was bowling particularly well to Root when Root was in the 90s. And there was just this spot outside off that he and Boland seemed to be hitting. And I thought he could have bowled more overs.
Yeah, I kind of disagree. I thought he was a bit patchy. I think he's still struggling to sort of get back into the rhythm of bowling, but he's a wicket taker, and perhaps you need to give him more opportunities. But anyway, so obviously the star Joe Root 135 not out, Zach Crawley 76. But that early life, geez, that annoys me. We had him, and you didn't refer it. That's going to be frustrating for Smith and Co. because they heard it, but they were like, "Oh, was it pad? Was it pad?"
They second guessed themselves, didn't they?
But Alex Carey. Nathan Lyon wasn't going to help from the dressing room. Alex Carey should have said, "Look, it didn't hit the pad." Because he should know that. He should say, "Look, I don't know if it hit the bat, but I can tell you, Smudge, it didn't hit the pad. So you heard something. Maybe it's the bat." So I would say as well, really
Smudge is the closest.
Yes, absolutely. So I would say 9 for 325, honors even, maybe 51-49 England, the fact that they were able to get those runs at the end. But I think it's a really good pitch for batting. No grass, flat. Australia have the opportunity. Days 2 and 3 will be the best days to bat on this. So it's up to Australia, and we get to bat most of tomorrow in the daylight. Okay. So we're going to get to start our innings before the lights are on, and then, like England tonight, get to get the pink ball soft before we go into light. So I would say 51-49 because runs are on the board. Good pitch for batting. And today was punctuated for me, apart from those great innings, phenomenal fielding from Australia. Just when it looked like they were out of the game, they'd pull a rabbit out of the hat. And also, again, more silly dismissals for England. And really, England had a chance to make 400 plus the way they were going and to boss this test match. So, yeah, how do you see the day?
Well, it's Joe Root and Mitchell Stark's day, really. But I think it's probably 51-49. I agree. I think that it's really another lost opportunity for England. There was something actually that was said in commentary there was like Bazball always gives the opposition a chance, and I think today was another example of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Kerry O'Keefe said that, so I'll give him credit for that. But he said, always keeps the opposition in the game. And, just when England were on top and they were looking steady, they'd just lose 1 or 2 wickets and momentum came back. So, it's even. And, it's not half over like last day. I might get to go to day 4, Menners. I might get to go to day 4.
Absolutely. So that's our wrap of day 1 of the Gabba day-night test. Don't remember, we will be live on YouTube after every day's play. I got lots of different people joining me. But honours even after day 1, England with runs on the board makes me slightly nervous. It's up to Australia now to make a big first innings with this new look batting lineup. But batting deep, English at 7 listed on the batting lineup. Michael Neser at 8. Michael Neser's got, I think, 5 first-class hundreds. So a bit of depth to the Australian batting, but it's all them now to go out tomorrow and bat all day. Australia needs to bat all day and get a big lead because we have to bat last. So, Ed, thank you for joining me on Cricket Unfiltered.
We've got to bat for 2 days because I think day 4 it's going to be harder to bat on. So I reckon we've got to bat for 2 days.
I love it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into the Cricket Unfiltered podcast. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want, but we'll be back tomorrow night.
Thanks, Manners.